What's poppin', fam? Welcome to Don't Touch My Mindset, a podcast that is designed to uplift, inspire, and motivate you, and most importantly, share tools to help you protect that mindset.
Welcome to this episode of Don't Touch My Mindset. This is not Jay Chase, your host. This is Christine Ammerman, who is honored to be interviewing your fearless host, Jay Chase, about his superpowers and about how those superpowers translate to you, the listener who is growing yourself, developing yourself on this path of leadership. Jay, thank you so much for being willing to flip the script and go to the other side of the mic so that we can all learn from your wisdom in a new way.
Yo, super excited that you reach out and we're willing to do something like this. Guys, this is what I talk about when I talk about expanding your environment, expanding your level of exposure. I truly believe that your level of success will depend on your level of exposure, and that depends on the people that you bring into your environment and how willing you are to embrace change and their superpowers, right? So I'm super excited about this episode. I feel like a whole bunch of insights are going to come from it. I'm like, I'm about to sit back and let Christine cook. I'm about to let her cook. I love it. Thank you guys once again. Please rate, review, follow the show if this is your first time here. Christine, what do you got for us today? What's up?
Woo! Well, this episode was inspired by the opportunity that I had to experience your work in a personal way. And you and I had met in a group setting in a community we're both a part of. And I was so impressed. I've been in the personal development world for a long time, entrepreneurship for a long time. And I was so impressed by the way that you show up and the way that you've developed yourself and the tools that you use, that I was inspired to reach out and say, hey, could we have a conversation about it so that your listeners have the chance to get a taste of this for themselves? So that's the context I'm bringing here. Anything you want to add?
Yo, I think it's completely spirit-led because, as I sit with my team, as we brainstorm, as we elevate, as we grow, they're like, Jay, you need to show more of what you do. Because I'm not a bragger. I'm not one of those people who are always displaying what I do. I barely document and post my life, right? But I live by principles that I share. I live by these values. I live by these behaviors that I share with people, but they're like, show us what you do. And with your level of curiosity and that superpower and that genius of wonder, we get to explore a deeper side of me, and what it is that I do when I'm working with leaders, when I'm working with entrepreneurs, when I'm working with emerging leaders, or even key talents, when helping them discover who they are, what they bring to the marketplace, what superpowers that they're naturally gifted with, and what that looks like when they're overextended as well. I'm excited.
The overextension, right? Which in this world, in this society, how we've been conditioned is where I think a lot of us are operating. And you are embodied in your principles, right? You truly practice what you teach or what you preach. And that's why this conversation is so important, right? For us to be able to understand a little bit more about your work and a little bit more about the amazing work behind the energy that you bring to every episode, to every session, to every speaking engagement, to every facilitation, to every event that you lead, that you are a part of, that you contribute to. Because it didn't just happen like this, right?
No, not at all. And that's a lot of people will look at me and be like, Jay, you're 30. I just turned 30. Jay, you're 30. Man, I wish I was doing what you were doing when you were. No, like this, you're actually looking at 6 years of development. You're looking at me choosing to be better every single day. me living by my principles, me implementing my principles, me doing the same thing, me living by self-discipline, me doing what I say I'm going to do even when I don't feel like doing it. That's what you're seeing of me. It's not the age. You're not seeing the experience, the pain, the hurt, the misunderstanding behind it, or even the miscommunication behind it. But you're seeing a product of the development and the tools and principles that I implement.
Yes. And what I think is really interesting about you is that this walking out of these principles, this embodiment, whatever word we would use for it, comes from a place of commitment and also recognition of strengths taken to an extreme become weaknesses.
Yes.
Right? It's kind of like, one person said it sort of like how to lean in without burning out. And I'm really curious how you create that blend, right? You just turned 30, congratulations. You also have a little one, right? You have a partner, you have a very full life, you're growing this business, you're doing a lot of things. What has gotten you to a point where you feel like this is sustainable?
When you are in full ownership of your dream and you take an active leadership role in your life, you will feel like you're made for this. It will take you outside your comfort zone. It will never take you outside your strength zone. So I coach a lot of leaders, and I tell them, burnout isn't from doing too much of something. Burnout comes from doing any amount of the wrong thing. What that looks like is me outside of my strength zone, spending time there, draining my energy. When I'm speaking, when I'm training, when I'm coaching, when I'm podcasting, that energizes me. So I can do as much of that. I can do that all day long because I'm inside my strength zone. I'm walking in purpose. I know who I am. Those are my superpowers, and I was made for that. But the moment I step out of that, I can do it, but it's going to require a lot more energy than it would if I was just being me.
I love that. I think a lot of people, a lot of leaders, people on the path to bigger levels of leadership really struggle with whether they're habits or whether they are to-dos, action items, whatever, outside of their strengths. And I think that it can also be really overwhelming to identify, because I think leaders are often like highly competent people, right? So we have often been promoted or rewarded to the level of our incompetence, right? Because we are so competent and we keep doing it because we can or we should. So what's the starting point to begin to help a leader really hone in on those? I know for you it's 4 key areas of strength.
One, we got to know the vision. There's 2 things that every leader has in common. 1, they're going places, and 2, people are following them. That's it. Those are the 2 things that leaders have in common. So we got to know the vision, and 1, if the vision aligns with who they are, right? And who are they leading? Who are they leading? Is the vision for you or is it for them, right? And then according to the vision, we understand who we are to help us get there. See, a lot of people think that, hey, if I figure out who I am, I'm going to be good. If I obtain self-awareness, I'll be good. But nobody knows how to navigate life. When it comes to any type of navigation system, we go from point A to point B. In order to be successful, that means to aim and achieve and maintain and repeat at bigger levels. So we're always moving forward. The difference between goals and standards is that standards don't move, goals move. So the first place we start is, what's the goal? Why? What's your biggest challenge? And then we get into self-awareness and action of changing that and of developing that leader from the inside out. So I focus on character development. When it comes down to the root of my work, it's character development. Who are you? What are you good at? And who are you not? It's okay to not be somebody. Like, I meet a lot of leaders. Actually, I meet a lot of leaders. This is actually really funny, guys. I meet a lot of leaders who believe that they need to be a self-starter. They need to be Mr. or Mrs. Rah, rah, hoorah. Let's go, guys, let's go. I need to be the driver. You don't. That is one particular style of leadership. So once we figure out the goal, once we figure out the why, the biggest challenge, we figure out your style of leadership.
Okay, so starting with the goal, starting with the why, starting with the vision, like you said. And what is your vision?
My vision is to add value to people who's going to multiply the value. That's my vision. And I think that's like, I want to help the world communicate better, and I want to help people lead themselves better.
So you have this very clear vision. It just rolled right off your tongue, right out of your mouth there, and I love it. Of course it did, right? Because this is your work.
Yeah.
Who are you and who are you not?
Yeah. I am Jay Chase, and I believe I exist to operate from generosity and unconditional love, but follow with care and understanding. That is who I believe that I am. That's who I believe I am. When it comes to why I'm here, my leadership style is going to look a lot different than other people. I lead different. I lead a lot different. I lead different. And who am I when it comes to leading? Clear, concise, influential, people, problem solver.
Beautiful. And who are you not? Just as importantly, right?
Right. And who I am not when it comes to leadership style is the supportive, over analytical type. I will sympathize with you. I won't empathize with you. I can't sit in that problem with you. We do not complain about things that we are not willing to change, right? That's just my leadership style. Oh, Jay, you're not giving me the room to express. No, that's a miscommunication. You have the room to express. You're not willing to do something about it after you express. I'm not the type of leader that's going to sit there with you and look at a problem. I'm the type of leader that's going to look at a problem and solve it with you. I'm not the type of leader that's going to come up with 1,000 different type of outcomes. I'm the type of leader that say, let's take this one and we can adjust on the way.
Right, so building the plane while it flies.
That sounds dangerous. I would never operate like that. No. But we're going to make a decision quickly, and if we need to change it, we will do it slowly. Henry Ford said that.
Beautiful. So make a decision quickly, change slowly. From somebody who knew a thing or two about building things.
Yes.
That worked.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
One of the tools that has helped you to understand yourself and has helped, I think, a lot of your clients, people who've been touched by your work, myself included, to understand themselves and to really give language to this work is the flight assessment.
Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit about how it changed your life to start working with it?
To go back to what you just asked me, who are you and who are you not? if you go ask 10 people that question, they're going to be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's how I was operating without the flight assessment. I was trying to fit in. I was trying to find crowds of people that were like me, and I found myself more frustrated than I did celebrated. I found myself more tolerated than I found myself celebrated. And when I'm like, why do I feel like I have to change? Why do I feel like I'm not fitting in with these certain people or this certain people, or I feel like our communication just doesn't hit, and there's always conflict when I'm this certain person. And so when I won in 2017, when I was released from prison on July 1st, I didn't have anybody who hit me up. I didn't have anybody who talked to me. I didn't have anybody who asked me where I was for the past 6 months. And I was like, okay, so the people that I used to kick it with didn't want to kick it with me no more, nor did they miss that version of Jay. So let's recreate myself. Let's recreate who I can be. But I had to figure out who I was at that moment. And I had to figure out, why was I tolerated? Why was I not celebrated? Why was I trying to fit in and mold in different environments and situations? And I think it was 2000, I want to say 20, that I actually took the DISC assessment. So the flight assessment's actually the newest model of the DISC assessment that Dr. Eric Thomas and a team of behavioral psychologists actually developed. And the DISC assessment was written in 1928, right? It's 2023. That's almost 100 years of data. The DISC assessment's still used today in many Fortune 500 companies, and Tony Robbins uses it, Les Brown uses it. Everybody uses the DISC, right? The DISC, but it was written in 1928. And honestly, it's on some next level psychology, right? This guy, William Marston, who created the DISC, was obsessed with the emotions of people. He created the world's first lie detector test, and he created the world's, and he created the character Wonder Woman. And the only two things that those things have in common is that they're both designed to find the truth. But then he creates the DISC. And so people perceive that he designed this assessment to find the truth about you. So it's crazy. Before the flight assessment was a thing, I spent 9.5 years in the car business, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You guys know my story. You listen to my podcast, right? That's why we're here. My employer has been using the DISC for 35 years. At the car dealership that I worked at, I took the DISC back in 2016. I took the DISC back. He knew more about me than I knew about myself at that time, right? And I was like, wow. And so it really changed my life is when I took the DISC assessment and actually sat down with a certified coach and went through it and figured out what it actually meant, read the results. And I was like, I've been like this my whole life. Because what it does is shows you conditioned behavior on how you interact with people, at what preferred pace you move at, how you follow protocols and systems and procedures, and how you solve problems. It's those 4 areas that it measures, and every person has those 4 areas within them. It can actually be traced back to the classical behavior temperament that was written back in like BC. That was it. They believe that the DISC, it shows up there as well. So it's really cool to actually see my behavior in black and white, if that makes sense.
Totally. So in 2020 was a pivotal year for all of us for various and common reasons. And one of those reasons for you was being able to understand everything that had come before, everything that was happening then, and everything about yourself that was going to inform how you wanted to carry out your vision of the future. It sounds like, if you're listening, you probably have a vision, right? Like, that's why you're here. You're here to develop an unshakable mindset. You have this vision. You gotta have a vision of yourself that's workable in order to carry out the vision effectively. Is that what you found to be the case?
You gotta know yourself. So when you surround yourself in environments that don't drain you, so you don't put yourself in places and roles and positions that you aren't effective in, right? So knowing what I know now about who I am and why I exist and what I do, right? I had an opportunity to be a finance manager at the car lot. I told the story on the podcast. You guys know this. Just, that version of me does not fit who I am naturally. Sitting behind a desk, pushing paper on the computer, that's not who I am. Who I am? I'm a high flight attendant, high I. So I'm gregarious, I'm extremely energetic, I'm extremely inspiring, I'm a people person. My number one value is connection, but I didn't know that about myself until I became aware of my conditioned behaviors and was able to look at that and say, yo, this is actually a problem. Whether it's my superpower as connection and connecting with people, or if it's the pace that I move at, which is extremely fast, right? Whatever pattern is a problem or keeps showing up or causing problems, I'm like, yo, it's time to add a principle to this. Because once we add a principle to patterns that are problematic, that's when we can make the shift from awareness to action. Right? Because I had the awareness, and this is what everybody's selling you. Everybody's selling awareness. Everybody's selling, oh, I can get you aware. I can make you aware. I can help you discover yourself. I can help you discover your purpose. I can help you get in line with your... Show me. I've never had somebody put it on paper and said, boom, this is who you are. This is what you're good at. This is what you're not good at. Do you see those behaviors showing up? Yeah, actually, I do. Do you see them showing up often? Kind of like every time, right? Because they're conditioned behaviors. The DISC assessment, the flight assessment, actually reads conditioned behaviors and patterns and processes.
Right. And so when you are a leader, when you are on this path, when you have this dream, a big vision toward entrepreneurship, right? Other people are going to recognize talents in you. They're going to recognize potential in you. They're going to recognize that you are a person who's developing yourself. And sometimes they're going to want to put you in a box that serves them, right? They want to make you a finance manager. And if you don't have the information about your highest and best use, right? Your behaviors, how you most naturally are designed to operate, you may see that as a great opportunity. You may think, well, this is the next best natural step, right? And then what happens? What do you see? I'm sure you talk to people all of the time who are in positions like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you see burnout. The most common thing, I'm so burnt out, I'm burnt. Then that's when you see burnout. It's not from doing too much of something, right? It's because you're doing any amount of the wrong thing. Like you're not in alignment with who you are. You're using so much energy to show up and go to work and put forth your best at something you're not even naturally good at. So you got to learn a whole new skill set, a whole new memory muscle system to override your natural state of being to adapt to somebody else's dream or goal or vision for you. And so that's what you see. You see burnout. Jay, I can't keep living like this. Jay, I can't keep doing this. You see people turning to alcohol. You see people turning to prescription drugs. You see people numbing. You see people avoiding. You see conflict of interest. You see teams falling apart. You see CEOs jumping out windows, right? Like, you see it. And it's all from being in places that they're not naturally designed to be.
Yes, and I just got chills you saying that. One thing that was particularly useful for me was our conversation of how this shows up in parenting. And because of course, if you're a parent, that's a huge role. That's a huge requirement of energy. And if you are doing it like you feel like you're supposed to, you should, you're conditioned to, what Pinterest says, what society says, whatever, then you might be shoving yourself into a box that is the wrong shape, right? And you might be burning out in your business or in your leadership role because you are at home draining yourself, trying to fit into that box. So it really is, I love the way that you look at the whole person, right? As opposed to you're helping leaders develop, you're helping them develop their character. A lot of people just focus on how that shows up in the work role, the career role, right? How did you come to look at the whole person through this lens?
Yo, the beautiful thing about it is that each style, so you got the flight attendant, you have the grounds crew, the air traffic control, and you have the pilot, right? And each style has their own communication style. And I was like, all right, dope. So I communicate differently than a grounds crew does. I communicate differently than an air traffic control does. And I communicate differently than a pilot does. Truth be told, only 30% of the world communicates like a flight attendant. Only 30% of the world communicates like a ground crew. Only 28% of the world communicates like an air traffic control. And only 12% of the world communicates like a pilot. And that's on the high spectrum of it, right? And I identify with a high flight attendant, so I'm extremely fast-paced and people-oriented. So when people say, hey, let's go to an event, my first thought is, who's going to be there? What's there to do? What kind of experience am I going to have, right? When somebody tells an air traffic control, somebody who identifies with a high air traffic control, which is very analytical, very, very detailed oriented, has a fantastic eye for detail, someone who can create an amazing plan, right? They say, let's go to an event. They're going to think of, what's the purpose? How long is it? What are we going there for? Like, but they're not worried about the people because they're more reserved and task oriented. So there's different communication styles. And when I test, I was like, okay, cool. So, well, I'm always talking about people and the experience, and I'm so emotional. Well, guess what? My partner is the complete opposite of me. And so I'm like, oh, so she's not worried about the same things I'm worried about. She's not excited over the same things I'm excited about. And so often we get so frustrated when people don't resonate with us, and when we should really get super excited when we find somebody who does resonate with us because they understand our communication style. And when I saw that there's different communication styles, I said, oh, this is life. I'm going to resonate with only 30% of the world off the bat. Otherwise, I'm changing my behavior to fit other people. So I got to know who I am wholeheartedly. I got to know who I am in a whole spectrum of me, right? And so I know that, hey, Jay, you're emotional. You like reaction. You like connection. You like putting people first. Not everybody likes that. Sometimes you're going to have to slow down. Sometimes you're going to have to deal with the task at hand. And that's okay. And that's where it carried over into life, where I was like, yo, I mean, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So when I was able to communicate how much I care to other people, it changed the game for me. It changed the game for me. If I tell you that I love you in Spanish and you don't speak Spanish, guess what? You ain't gonna understand me. But if you learn Spanish and learn how to communicate with me and I tell you I love you, you gonna feel it now. And so that's when I was like, oh, so if this person leads like this, that means they communicate like this. If I lead like a flight attendant, that means I communicate like a flight attendant. But not everybody else does. And so that's when it changed the game for me as a whole, as in, be you. Don't try and be somebody else. That's where that draining starts, is when we start trying to communicate unauthentic and we try to mold into how somebody says that we should do it because that's how they communicate.
Yes. How does knowing who you really are at the core inform creating an unshakable mindset?
You're able to lead your life, but then accept the others around you. I believe that there's 3 levels of mastery that the flight assessment will teach you if you study it enough. You understand yourself, you understand others, and then you recognize situational needs. Then you're able to adapt and apply the best need for the situation. So if somebody says, hey Jay, we need a business plan wrote out, do you think I'm gonna go sit down and write this business plan? But if I did, I would have to turn everything off, not be distracted, and you know what I mean? I would drain myself writing that business plan. So I understand who I am, and then I'm like, okay, if this isn't my superpower, whose superpower is it? then I understand others, right? And then I recognize that I don't need to do this. Somebody else needs to do this because it's not that's to recognizing the situational need instead of trying to make myself fit into what somebody else told me I needed to do.
Yes. I love that. And that really speaks to community. It really speaks to a room, whether it is virtual or whether it is physical, right? And it speaks to your superpower being able to curate a room and create an environment where deep change can happen. Can you speak a little bit about what it is like to be in this energy, right? To be with you, why it's important to cultivate a community of people who understand who you are and respect it?
We deepen our perception when we get around others. We're able to see things outside of our own light. We're able to see things outside of our own mass. So me, I'm such a high flight attendant, high. I only see people first. But then that doesn't come into account for my blind spots. What details am I skipping in order to get to those people, right? And so then we got the air traffic control, who's my blind spot monitor says, AJ, you need to do X, Y, and Z before you can get to those people. Otherwise, all that is going to crumble. It's going to fall. They have somebody to cover me up and say that, oh, this is going to help me cover my blind spots. So in order to get in community with people that are like me, that understand this type of modality, this method, is to understand that we're getting around people who complement our skill sets. Just because everybody knows that we're not alike. We're not the same. You're uniquely blessed at something. I'm uniquely blessed at something. Let's see what we can create together. Hi, Christine. I'm Jed. Right? It's it's the fact that when you get around people and you understand that, oh, you got something I don't got. Because guys, entrepreneurs, leaders, listen to me very closely. Your clients are either the people who have what you have and they don't know how to use it, or the people who don't have what you have and they never will, and so that you can sell it to them. Those are your clients, but you got to know what it is that you have. Right? And then they get in the room and they know what they have and they're like, oh, I don't have that. You know how many opportunities I've gotten just because I'm extroverted? How many opportunities my best friend Brandon has gotten just because he can build a system and a process out? Jay, I love your funnels page. How'd you do that? Bruh, talk to Brandon. I don't know. Jay, I loved your keynote. How'd you do it? All right, so what I did was I take 10 stories and and so, because that's my superpower. And so getting around those people, you actually edify your value.
Yes, I love that. One of the things that, that you talk a lot about is our own manufactured limitations, our destructive habits, right? Our destructive emotions. And I think there's this fallacy that's really prevalent around like being a lone wolf. If you're a high achiever, if you're a leader, like you should be able to do it all, right? That's the lean way to do it. That's the right, something to prove, right? And you're challenging that and you're saying, no, it's more important to stay in your lane, be aware, but stay in your lane and surround yourself with people who are both the same and different, right?
Think about when you're driving. If you're driving down the highway, it's a busy highway. Are we fans of the person who continues to switch lanes? Are we? Like, we're not. Dude, stay in your lane. We're going at a pace. We're moving. We're all going 75, 60. We're on this highway together. And you're actually endangering when you're switching lanes. You're becoming a detriment to the plan when you're trying to become somebody that you're not, when you're trying to get over, when you're trying to do something. And what if that person never checked their mirrors? What if that person never checked their blind spots? Did you know over 1 million people die each year because of blind spots? And like, listen to me very carefully. I don't like, I don't care what type of car there is out there. I will show you the blind spot. Whether it's a Tesla, whether it's a Mercedes, a BMW, a Ferrari, like whatever it is that y'all want, I will show you the blind spot. But you know what the creator did, the manufacturer did, right? Was they put a blind spot monitor in the mirror. And so now when somebody wants to switch lanes, which is appropriate at times, right? It's appropriate to get over and kind of pass somebody up, right? We check our mirrors and we check our blind spot now. We don't just check to see but who's behind us, but we also check to see if that little symbol lit up and if somebody's in our blind spot. Because if somebody's in our blind spot, guess what? We don't move. We just wait for a minute. Or we speed up. Or some people will just merge if somebody's in your blind spot and you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to prevent as a leader when you're on the course to your dreams, your goals, your vision. It's getting a coach, it's getting to know yourself, as in managing your destructive emotions and habits. That's the blind spot monitor. That is, what's that destructive emotion and habit that always stops you, that always gets you, that you fall victim to? And it's probably that one thing that you're really good at that you overextend and create for yourself.
Yes, that one thing that you know, if you could let go of needing to control it, right, that you could get where it is that you want to be, right? But you can't seem to just consciously force yourself into doing that. Why is that? Do you think that it's because, you know, we, as someone has said, we're sitting in our own jar and we can't read the label? Like, we just don't have the information ourselves to force a change?
Level of maturity. That's all it is. Level of maturity. If our self-manufactured limitations are only there when our superpowers are overextended, then we have to know what that point is to extend our superpowers. We're in complete control. That's why I talk about managing. I say emotions are very real, right? Your feelings are extremely valid, but so are your dreams. So how do we manage our emotions? How do we manage our feelings, right? Because feelings will get you nowhere except for expression. Have you ever noticed that there is no action that is required after expression? I just want to express. Cool. Great. There is no action that is required after expression. And then when there's an action put on after expression, that becomes a demand. Right? Because now we're emotional and now we require an action. Now you're just demanding. So it's a level of maturity. When it comes to it's a level of maturity of what's our cap. As fast as I can talk myself into a room is the fastest way I can talk myself out of a room too. And man, I love your story. Come speak to it. What the hell did you just say? Get up out of here. Like, it's the exact same thing. So it's that level of maturity and knowing where my problematic patterns show up.
Oh. That's the mind exploding emoji for all of you audio listeners. Jay, this is just scratching the surface of the depth of wisdom that you have and the ability that you have to really speak into the natural strengths, the natural challenges of not only people who are like you, also people who are not like you, because of the understanding that you have about human behavior in general, right? Translated through the flight assessment as one particular lens, as one particular example. What do you feel like is the most important thing for people to understand when they're sitting in their procrastination, when they're sitting in their overwhelm, when they're sitting in maybe how they would define self-sabotage or, you know, their destructive habits? What is the number one thing when they come to you and they're like, Jay, can you help me?
It is. That's actually hilarious. Because it's typically their superpower overextended. They're doing everything right, but it's typically their superpower overextended. So if somebody is a high grounds crew and they come to me, Jay, I'm so terrible. I just don't speak up for myself. I put everybody first. I'm feeling like I'm stuck in a rut. Well, that's because you need routine. You need processes, and you put people first because you're extremely supportive. But when you become too supportive, guess what? Now you're not speaking up for yourself. Now you find yourself in environments that you didn't want to be in. Now you're shoving down your emotions and your feelings because you're putting people forth. So you're such a people person, you become a people pleaser. Right? Now, I'm a people person, but I'm a people problem solver. I'm not a people pleaser, right? And anywhere I show up is out of willingness. I know I'm gonna be a blessing. I'm willing to be there, and I have spoken my truth if I want to be there, if I don't want to be there, right? But it's the fact that we got to know what our superpower is, and then we got to know the limit to our superpower. And so when people show up to me and say, well, Jay, I can't do this, I need to do this, my business is suffering from this. Oh, well, that's because you don't want to delegate and you want to control everything because you're a high pilot. You got to delegate. You got to let go of control, but you're scared of other people holding you accountable. I get it. Jay, I can't make no money. My business is suffering. I don't know what to do. It's because you're giving everything away for free. You're a high flight attendant. You love people so much you don't want to charge money. I get it. Jay, I don't know where to start. I don't know how my business is going to get started. It's because you're in air traffic control. You're overthinking every single possibility. So if you don't move, you lose. I get it. It's your superpower that's showing up and you don't know how to use it. Think about Superman, man. He can do all the things, fly around, shoot lasers out of his eyes, but as soon as he gets around something from his own planet, he starts to get drained. It's like his superpower is overextended, right? Like on Earth, he's great, but as soon as he gets around something from his own planet, kryptonite, it starts to drain him. It's always that thing that's within inside us that's draining us.
And it's the thing that can lead us to where we want to be if it's properly managed and directed. Right?
Yes.
So how empowering is that? How empowering is that to know there's not something wrong with you? It's just a different level of understanding, managing, and directing that superpower.
Man, a lot of people say, Jay, what is destructive habits? I said it's the things that you're really good at. There is no good or bad. There is no right or wrong. It's just who you are. We get to choose to be destructive or constructive.
Wow. So it comes down to choice, right? And if you're listening here, like you probably want to go to the next level of mastery. Like you heard Jay describe those 3 levels of mastery when it comes to understanding yourself, understanding others, and what was the third one, Jay? Understanding situational environment.
Situational needs. What does the situation need? That's what you should ask yourself before you walk into any situation. If they're like, Jay, we're going to a networking event, what does that situation need? It probably needs somebody who's people focused and people oriented. I'm sending my high flight attendant, my high grounds crew. Jay, we're going to a business lecture to focus on the analytics of the business and how to grow. Okay, we're sending the air traffic control and the pilot because they're task oriented. So it's what does the situation need? So once you know who you are, I am a flight attendant, and Marissa's the grounds crew, right? And it's like, cool. When you know who others are, Marissa, hi, that's Marissa. Hey, Jay, Marissa, do you guys want to go to a mathematics competition? Depends on who's competing, but maybe because of the people, not because of the mathematics, not because we're interested in that, but we're interested in the people being there. Does that make sense? So then we're able to understand what the situation needs. If they're like, no, Jay, we need you to compete in the mathematics, I'm like, I'm not the guy. If you need me to network, I got you. But that's, even if you're on level 0, you can get to level 1 by taking the flight assessment. You can get to level 2 by practicing what you learn from the flight assessment. And then you can get to level 3 by encouraging others to understand level 1.
You are giving folks a chance to do all of this in a compressed time span. Could you tell us, it's a little bit meta, could you tell us like what it looks like to experience you in action?
Yeah.
Right? In your highest use, in your why, as well as in a way that serves the folks who you are in the room with.
Yeah. Connected, focused, inspired. That is what it's like to experience me, one at my best, right? We're going to be connected, we're going to be focused, and we're definitely going to be inspired, right? But we're there on a mission. If anybody knows me, I can't sit with a problem with you, but we're going to amplify and maximize your personal growth of where you are, whether it's level 1, level 2, level 3, wherever you are, it does not matter. We're going to amplify that and take you to the next level. Jay, I thought there was only 3 levels. I promise you there's another level. I promise you there's another level. All right, there's always room for improvement. But what the real important thing is that you get around other people and you get to see it in real time. You get to see people understand and realize that, yo, I'm not like this other person who's sitting next to me. And that's okay. I actually do have something special to bring to the table. And then you'll be able to walk away with identifying your strengths, who you are on a personal level, how you interact with people, what pace you prefer to move at, how you follow rules and procedures, and how you make decisions. If somebody would have told me 7 years ago, Jay, you're very commanding and decisive and competitive when you make decisions. So it may be good before action to ask for a follow-up opinion. If somebody would have told me that 7 years ago, bro, I would have made 10,000 different decisions. But I didn't know that about myself. It wasn't revealed to me until I got around people who believed in this method, this modality, the people who were like, yo, self-awareness, understand yourself, understand others, and then recognize situation needs that understand that your team around you could actually take you to the next level. How you lead yourself could be actually what's leading you, holding you back.
That level of clarity. Yeah. And then what you do with that clarity.
Yeah. Gosh.
Right? That's everything.
Yes.
I love that. Jay, thank you so much for sharing like the simplicity. Because our minds have so many stories about everything, every action, every behavior, every interaction. And it comes down to such clarity when you describe it in this way. Yeah. This filter just helps you understand exactly what is needed and lets everything else fall away.
100%. Yo, I want to invite anybody, if this has resonated with you guys, yo, come out to Canyon Lake, California. We're hosting a workshop that's 2.5 days that is going to provide that level of clarity for you. It's going to provide the insights, the tools, the metrics that you need to, one, gauge and measure yourself on your own worth and how to amplify that and take that to the next level. Christine, thank you for this. This has been a phenomenal conversation. It's always fulfilling for me to have a chance to explain behind the curtain, behind the wall, behind the motivation of what it is that I do. So thank you for giving me a chance to edify the light on me.
Thank you for being open to it. Thank you for doing something new.
Guys, I love you. Thank you. Christine, you got anything for it? Where can the guests find you?
My podcast is called Podcast Guesting for Profit.
There it is.
Come on over there.
There it is. Yo, I love it. Check her out, guys. She's doing amazing things. Yeah, this has been extremely special. Hopefully you got something from it. thejchase.com/events. Sign up for the you can literally get 40% off with discount code 90day growth. I love you. See you guys in California. Let's go.